Hey there, welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into it, Minny. Drink of the podcast. Tonight we're going with Olipop's Watermelon Lime. And I have to say, right off the bat, don't love it, don't hate it, pretty good. Honestly, tasting it kind of gives me tropical vibes and like laying on a beach in Florida somewhere or something like that. So that's what we got for you guys. Yeah, so like I said, Olipop tonight, watermelon lime. My apologies. It says right here, it's that candy-like flavor you've always loved, but in liquid form. With a mix of watermelon, tart cherry, and lime juices, bubbly soda balances brightness with a crave-worthy pop of sweetness. And I like it. I personally don't taste. I don't taste the cherry in it, but I still think it's a damn good soda. So, yeah, for those new listeners, you may be thinking, Jack, what is Olipop? Olipop is, one of two soda companies, like Poppy last week that we talked about, and they're branding themselves as a new kind of soda. So similarly to, they have prebiotics, botanicals, and plant fiber in them. This is vegan and paleo as well too. And yeah, I really like it. Like I said, after stopping drinking, I stumbled upon a couple of these, and they really do help with digestive health. I can tell you from experience, I learned that the hard way. I didn't really know what they were. My parents actually had quite a bit of them at the house, Olipops and Poppies, and I just saw the flavors and was like, oh my gosh, these look amazing. These look great. I'm going to try them. And I'm not kidding you. I probably threw back for sure 4, maybe 5 of them in a movie night I was doing with my family 2 Novembers ago. And that night and the very next day, man, my body, especially my stomach and my other parts, just didn't agree with it. So it was at that point that I kind of asked my parents about them, what they've heard about them. And I was like, all right, like whether people want to believe it or not, like it's real. So yeah, that's what I got on what they are. Go check them out, drinkolipop.com. You guys can find them on Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and TikTok. So that's where you can find them. And like I said, so far, this isn't the worst flavor I've tried of theirs, but I honestly probably wouldn't put it into the upper echelon other flavors. It's a solid flavor. I would get it again. I don't really like how the lime and the watermelon mix together. Excuse me, if I'm being honest. I do like the tropical notes and some of the vibes overall that I am getting from this soda. So with that, we'll go with a 7.4. 7.4, solid, not upper echelon. So that is what we have for drink of the podcast. Before we get even into Tommy Town, want to give a shout out and an apology. Totally slipped my mind. This last week was a men's or boys state high school hockey tournament. The boys single A was won by Hibbing. I believe they were the 2 or 4 seed, and then Moorhead won the bigger school, the Class AA championship, and they were the 1 seed. So both congratulations to them for coming out on top in their respective classes. I can't believe I totally forgot about it. I shouldn't say I totally forgot about it, about the tournament. I more so forgot to shout them out. I love shouting it out, going to the tournament, whether my alma mater is in it, which they were not this year, or not. Always love watching it. It's always a fun time. Really good hockey to watch, and especially if you're into hockey in Minnesota, it's just a great atmosphere, something to go experience. So definitely something I will be enjoying on a yearly basis in person with my kiddo in the years to come. So once again, congratulations to both of them, and until next year, high school hockey. So with that, the only Tommie team still standing is the men's hockey team. They're getting ready with a matchup against the Bowling Green Falcons this Saturday, the 15th. Come on, little guy. This Saturday, the 15th at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And man, would that be huge. Like I said, 4 p.m. Saturday the 15th, and they will be taking on the winner of the 7 o'clock game between the number 1 seed Minnesota State Mavericks and the number 7 seed Bemidji State Beavers. Once again, remarkable that they've made it this far. This is a team, the Bowling Green Falcons. This is a team that they played 4 times this last year, and went 2-1-1 in their first meeting of the year. They tied 2-2. Then we beat them 6-3. The third meeting they won 1-4, and then the second meeting we won 2-1. So again, we've talked about this before. We are still on postseason ineligible for postseason play. So regardless of if we win the next 2 games, we won't be able to play in the Frozen Four. But again, very similar to the men's basketball team. It'll be remarkable that this early in our D1 tenure we've made it this far, and won't be long from making noise on a national level as well. So, on top of that, it's pretty crazy that for this game happen, there were some honors to be made. So back on Monday the 10th, Lucas Wallen and Liam Malmquist were named CCHA Forward of the Year finalists. In 34 games, Lucas Wallen added 16 goals, 19 assists for 35 points, all career highs for him. He finished the season as one of 5 players in the conference with at least 1 point per game. His +9 was second on the Tommies to his line mate and fellow finalist Liam Malmquist. And for Malmquist, in his 34 games, he had 13 goals, 23 assists, and 36 points. All of those were career highs for him as well. And his 23 assists and 26 points were single season program records, as was his +11 rating, which are pretty insane. So huge congratulations to both of them. The other Forward of the Year finalist is Rhett Pitlick of Minnesota State. The winners will be announced later this week. So a huge congratulations to them on just being named finalists. And then later in the day, Liam Malmquist's 6-point weekend earned him his 3rd weekly honor of the season. The CCHA released their weekly honors, and he was named Forward of the Week. He was instrumental in their first ever series win this past Friday and Saturday, and scored 2 goals and recorded a +2 in Friday's game, and then one-upped himself with his 2nd hat-trick of the season and an assist with a +4 rating on Saturday, and scored a shorthanded game-winning goal. Pretty incredible what this guy has done. Just continuing to hit up the accolades, and with how he's been playing, I am not shocked in the least. And then on top of that, just yesterday, it was announced that Chase Foley, Liam Malmquist, and Luke Wallen were all named to the all CCHA honors. Chase Foley had a tremendous season with career best in nearly every single statistical category. This is his first all-conference honor, and the Tommy's first all-conference honor for a defenseman. And yeah, we kind of already went over both Liam and Lucas's accolades, or not accolades, but stats for this year. So no mystery that they were nominated as well. So a huge congratulations to all 3 of them, and really, really hope that they can win. I can't wait to tune in myself this upcoming Saturday to see how they fare against Bowling Green. Different from the first round. I don't know when they started this, but in every hockey thing, the quarterfinal is the best of 3 series, which is what that's. Then after that, everything just goes to single elimination. Truthfully, I think everything should be either single game elimination, or everything should be a 3-game series. And I would err on the side of just single game elimination, just 1-1. So yes, and that's what he has. So just really quickly, St. Thomas and Bowling Green Falcons will face off at 4:07 p.m. on March 15th, and then right after the Minnesota State Mavericks and Bemidji State Beavers at 7:07. And then the final game, should the Tommies win, will be on March 21st. So that is all we have for the men's hockey team. Unfortunately, this last week, the men's basketball team came to a close, and it wasn't a terrible way to close out the season. They lost to Omaha in the conference final game, 75-85. obviously, just like everybody else knows, and truthfully, like Omaha knows, when Tommies were playing North Dakota, some of the announcers talked about them talking to Omaha and them being like, yeah, we're quietly Tommy fans, because Omaha knew that should the Tommies beat the Fighting Hawks, which they did, regardless of the outcome of the game, they were going to be going to the dance, because had the Tommies beaten them, they wouldn't have been able to go to March Madness. So by default, similar to the 2022 Pioneer Football League championship by the Tommies, the runner-up would have gone, which would have been Omaha. So, yeah, obviously bittersweet. This was a Tommies Super Bowl, as you will. And, yeah, like I said, was kind of surprised that it was a close game. Omaha just looked very dominant in this tournament. I think during the regular season, the Tommies and Omaha weren't that much different from each other, but I think this tournament, they just looked like a different animal. And depending on what seed they get and where they end up, they could potentially make some noise in the tournament as well, which again blows my mind that we are as close as we are to March Madness, only a couple of days away. So, like I've talked about, March Madness officially gets underway on Tuesday, the 18th. Excuse me, but it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the 20th, when the first round starts. So, it depends on who you ask and everything of when it gets underway. But I always say it's the first four, and it's going to get pushed out in the years to come when they inevitably add more and more teams. So, yeah, obviously, everybody knew at some point the basketball teams season was going to end. Huge shout outs even after that game for to Miles Barnstable and Kendall Blue, named to the Summit League All Tournament team. Miles Barnstable is a finalist for the Riley Wallace Award for the Division I top transfer student. And yeah, huge congratulations to them. Cannot wait to see how the men's basketball and hockey teams rebound and continue to do even better next year, knowing that they are playoff bound and eligible. So really, really, really incredible to see. And then, yeah, this is the part of the podcast where we shout out our Minnesota business or Minnesota local business friends. Once again, our good friends at UNRL, where the kind of the last, I thought about in these next couple episodes shouting out their shorts, but I don't know that I really want to get all that hyped up and everything for you guys. But yeah, this is the third and final hat that we got. This is it's the Weekender snapback. I'll put this right here for now so you guys have a better look. I should have done this with the other ones. Excuse me. The Weekender snapback, it's the Sahara color, and then this is the ultra long sleeve. This is the exact same shirt that I had on last week. This is just their coconut color. Last week's was cavern blue. Like I said, buttery feel, really nice texture. I have an undershirt on it tonight just because I'm a little cold, like I said, down in the basement. But I wear these things to bed. I wear these things out and about. I wear them for just about any occasion you can think of, and I love it. It's thin enough that it's breathable when it's warm out, but when it's cold out, it keeps you insulated enough with that buttery feel and with the touch of it. And yeah, I really love it. So go check them out. UNRL.com or co. I promise you, they have stuff for everybody. I just got some announcements and stuff. Their golf bags are back in stock. They have some new crossover hoodies, a new track jacket for the women. They have new short sleeve polos, half zip Performa fitted stuff. Really cool things. Like I said, they have for your athleisure needs. They have something for everybody. So I urge you, go check them out. You guys won't be disappointed. You can find them also on Facebook, X, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So go check them out. Like I said, they have plenty of things to choose from, and they really are kind of like across. They're a cheaper version of like Lulu and Athleta, but obviously just, a little bit more expensive than just getting your athleisure stuff from Amazon, Target, or Walgreens and stuff like that. So yeah, excuse me. Yeah. And oh my gosh, last thing. And they just dropped new hometown collection. So last thing I wanted to say that I didn't bring up last year. So unfortunately, something with the NHL and something with the NBA that They don't want resellers selling things that don't have like official partnerships with them online. You have to go into the games to get them. But if you go onto Facebook, I can post a link into it in the bio for this video on YouTube. There is a group you can join on Facebook of people that are buying, selling, trading UNRL stuff. So go check that out, because I'm going to be on there getting some stuff. So yes, that's what I got for UNRL. Now getting into the our pro sports. So first and foremost, the Wild didn't make any trades. Once again, not overly surprised. Not overly surprised by that. We talked about this briefly last week. I think Guerin is kind of looking at this as, without the Kirill injury, this is a team that definitely could have been right there, could have been in contention with these kinds of things and had some fun. But now with him out, I think Guerin's kind of looking at the situation as there's no sense in getting rid of assets for rentals when he's going to be able to do what he wants to do this upcoming season with money. He's actually going to be able to pay guys more than a couple $1 million a year. And it'll be nice to see what he's able to do. I mean, with Kirill Kaprizov out, jobs for guys like Kirill, obviously, Boldy, Erikssonek, Faber, like some of those guys are safe, but you'd love to see some of these younger guys get more into it next year. It'll be interesting to see who he can bring in, young guys, seasoned guys, and really kind of make a playoff push. Unfortunately, the Wild are in a precarious situation right now in the standings, having already played 65 games with 17 games left. We're sitting at 78 points, 8 points ahead of the Calgary Flames for the last wild card spot, but 3 games behind Colorado for the third spot in the West, or in the Central. 8 behind the Dallas Stars for the second spot, and very similar to last week, talking about the Timberwolves and their potential seeds that they could get in the Western Conference Finals. I think the only thing that is unattainable right now is that number 1 spot. Unfortunately, the Winnipeg Jets are having a season that I think nobody saw coming. With 17 games left, we are not mathematically eliminated from the first spot in the division, but we would practically need to lose out or win out, and the Winnipeg Jets would need to get no more than 10 points in their last 16 games at max, and I just don't see that happening. Plus, you guys know me. Regardless of your situation, I am always going to take care of your situation. You never want to be in a position where you need the team's help. And truthfully, it's not perfect, but we control our own destiny, and we could very, very easily, with the limited games we still have left, Wildcard Central 2 seed and 3 seed are both very attainable. And with how it's looking, I wouldn't mind getting that first wild card spot, because that first wild card spot, we're more than likely going to have to play the Vegas Golden Knights instead of the Winnipeg Jets, with them being at 83 points versus Winnipeg's 94 points. Not to discredit the Vegas Golden Knights and what they've been able to do, but they just haven't been looking as solid lately and this season as the Winnipeg Jets. And getting able to play somebody in the playoffs that we don't see a ton would also be a nice added bonus as well. Yeah, that's what I got for that. Before we move on to basketball, Wolves, everything like that. I can't remember if I brought this up or not, but again, March Madness is coming up here just in a couple days here. In the link for this video, I will put the link for the March Madness Bracket Challenge for you guys to go sign up. Once again, doesn't cost anything. You can do up to 2 brackets. You can do up to 2 brackets per person, and like I said, doesn't cost anything, and you can win some cool mini weekend merch. Hoping to have a couple more things up and available for winners by the time the tourney commences as well. So go check that out. But the first thing that I thought would be fun to address, nobody asked any questions, but I did get added and tagged in a couple of TikTok videos of Angel Reese talking about, if the WNBA doesn't get what we want, we could very well sit out. That's a really well possibility. Look, we've talked about this a little bit already, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet. This isn't me shitting on the WNBA. This isn't me saying I do not like the WNBA. Frankly, when it's on, I love watching the Lynx. They're a good team. They damn near won another championship this last year. But let's not kid ourselves. I know she wasn't referencing the NBA and saying we need to be paid like NBA players, and I'm glad she didn't, because in these leagues, part of why players want to be paid more is because the league is making more and or the cap is going up. When you're in a league that literally does not make money, again, I've said this before on this podcast, and I can't overemphasize this point. The WNBA is subsidized by the NBA. If it weren't for the NBA, the WNBA wouldn't be a thing, because the WNBA loses money every single year. And for those that don't know exactly what I'm talking about, I'm going to dumb it down. And I promise you, I don't mean to mansplain. Let's say, for the sake of round numbers, let's say it costs the WNBA on any given year, let's say it costs them let's say it costs them $20 million in salaries, promotions, games, all this kind of stuff. If the league is bringing in $10 million, or even if the league brings in $18 million, unless the league brings in $20 million or more, that is a league that is literally losing money. So I hear what Angel Reese is saying, and it's nice and it's cool to see these girls being as passionate as they are, but I think she sounds like a lunatic, because if you watch her play, like if you're in the WAPA, she's not the one you want at these meetings. It sounds like she very much wants to be in these meetings, and I would highly recommend Brianna Stewart and all these girls that are there, make sure she is not fucking there. She is going to make you guys look like idiots, and she flat out, like, if you want to use her as an example, she's a very bad example. This is a girl that shoots, she is less efficient from 2-point range than Caitlin Clark is from 3-point range. She's a rookie. Like, I understand they're not making that much money, they want to be making more. Do a better job of marketing the league. Like, do more things that you can do to help this league bring in more money. That's all I'm going to say. Again, I'm not against the WNBA and these players getting what they deserve, but I think it's silly for them to be sitting in a standpoint of, hey, we're holding the cards, when they're not. They're playing for a league that literally doesn't make money. So if the WNBA comes back and says, look, these are your options. You can either we can give you a little bit more money. It's not what you want, but we can give you a little bit more money and we can play. Or you can continue to feel entitled and want more money, and we're just not going to play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. More often than not, cooler has prevailed, but we'll wait and see. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that matter. But as for the Timberwolves, since it's crazy to think, since we've been on this game, their game right now against Denver is only their third game so far. Beat Miami, beat San Antonio. San Antonio, they scored a season high 141 points, and right now they're up on Denver 93-75. Make that 93-77 with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. This is a game, knock on wood, that we have not been behind the entire game. So this is huge, because this is a team that right now is currently, I think, second in the NBA or second in the Western Conference. We'll get up. But yeah, again, I have to say, I sound like a broken record. Danger24_ didn't ask a question, but he made a very good point. That's pretty cool. Made a pretty good point in the comments on this, saying, I'm not seeing them make a deep run this year. We need to get healthy. And 1,000,000%. It's awesome to see Julius Randle back. It's awesome to see Rudy Gobert back. And it's nice to see Rudy Gobert. It almost seems like since he's come back from this injury, he's been playing more efficiently and smarter than before his injury. Because if he plays like he did last year, like, the issue I have with this team is, if you look at these last two games and how they're playing against Denver right now, like, if we're fully healthy and we're playing the way we should, there's not a team in this league that we can't beat. It's just a matter of doing it and making it happen. When that doesn't happen, it's frustrating. Or when we're jacking up threes willy-nilly, or when we're not playing our brand of basketball, it gets long and hard to watch. So that's what I'll say about them. Yeah, still a solid, good amount of games to play, but should they be able to hold on here? I mean, 9-10 to go. Again, we're up 98 to 78, 98 to 77. So huge game. Should we be able to hold on? We have a stretch of games against Orlando, um, who was in a play-in spot, very beatable. Utah, who's literally the worst team in the league. Indiana, who's beatable. Two against New Orleans, who's the second to the worst team in the Western Conference. Indiana again, Phoenix, who's downfalling, Detroit, and then Detroit, who's right in the thick of things there, and then in Denver again. So that's a big stretch. That again, control your own destiny, win those 10 games in a row, and who knows what could happen. So yeah, really, really excited to talk about some of the moves that the Vikings have been making. But before we get to that, there was one more basketball comment or thing going on that I wanted to briefly talk about. And again, not a question, but got tagged in a couple of these videos of people talking to Cooper Flag or advising Cooper Flag that should Charlotte Wizards or Jazz, like, should one of those four teams win the lottery, should he stay in college? And it seems like that's kind of the consensus right now. Like the big question of, hey, if you're close with Cooper Flag and he's asking for your opinion, would you advise him to stay at Duke for another year if one of those four teams gets a pick? And truthfully, 1 million, yes. Again, I don't like to hate and shit on teams. It's not nice. I don't think it's necessary. But when you think about what's best for you as a player, the Washington Wizards, Utah Jazz, Charlotte Hornets, and New Orleans Pelicans have done nothing to ever develop good talent. So yes, if you're Cooper Flag, I would say if you really want to come out, because again, the big thing with college sports is, if you don't come out now and you go back a year, you risk getting injured and not maybe getting as drafted as high and all this kind of stuff. So I get, hey, you want to come out when your stock is high. So I would say, if Cooper Flag can come into the draft and say, hey, there's a chance that a team, not those four, can get it because there's a lottery system. They have the four best chances to get the number one seed. But should Cooper Flag want to come out, and if he can get in contact with one of those four teams and say, look, I'm not playing for you. You can draft me, but I need to be traded before I step foot in your facility, or I need you trading the first overall pick before I even get picked. But truthfully, I wouldn't even fuck with that. I would just say, if I was close to Cooper Flag, I would say if one of those four teams wins the number one overall pick, I would 100% stay in Duke. Knock on wood, the guy hasn't gotten really too injured this year, so I think he should be fine. He's got a promising career, and I think he's got a lot of basketball and a lot of fun things ahead of him, and I just see no reason to be bogged down in a bad organization and just not getting developed. Obviously, if he is who he is and if he's as talented as he is, he should be able to continue to do his thing, kind of like LeBron did with Cleveland. But these four teams just have a history of it just doesn't work out that well. And I would, again, that's my personal thing. If I was close with Cooper Flag, I would say no. Fuck no. Stay in school. Hope one of those four teams doesn't get it next year. And then maybe next year, that's when you do address it. You say, hey, I'm coming out of the draft. Like, there's no reason for me to go back for my junior year. But if one of you four motherfuckers get the number one overall pick, I'm not playing for you. Like Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning it. I'm not playing for you. Trade me. So, yeah, the Minnesota Timberwolves, if they can continue to do their thing, again, coming into this game against the Denver Nuggets, they're currently still holding on to that 7 despite being on a 5-game winning streak. They're still holding tight on to that 7 spot, half a game out from the 6th spot, 4 games out of the 5th spot, 4.5 from the 4th, and 5 out from the 3rd spot. And even right now, 5.5 out of the 2nd spot. So a lot of things can happen, and this is the time where you look at these Western teams are playing, Denver, Utah not so much, but Phoenix, Denver again, Memphis. Like this is a time when you're going to want to win those games and have those tiebreakers should it come down to that. Um, but I'm not really too worried about that as a Wolves fan. I would be inclined to agree with you. Danger 24 underscore. I don't see us making as much of a noise this year, just with the addition of Luka to the Lakers, with the addition of with how Ja's been playing, with how OKC's been playing. There's with Jimmy now on the Golden State Warriors. There's just a more of a buzzsaw to get through now than there was at the beginning of the season. Not to say they can't do it, it's just going to be a lot harder for them to do. But I would be inclined to agree with you, my good sir. So, with that, we are going to wrap up with the Minnesota Vikings. And holy shit, guys, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 games into this, and they have been phenomenal in free agency so far. Unbelievable. I really haven't been paying to many other teams other than us, but we have to be up there as one of the top 5, if not top 3 teams in free agency so far. The first thing that we technically did was we extended cornerback Theo Jackson, or safety Theo Jackson, in what's likely to be more of a bigger role for him this upcoming season with Cam Bynum not coming back. Shout out to Cam Bynum. I love that guy. I wish we still had him. Wish we found a way to keep him. But sometimes that's just how life works and life goes on. The second thing we locked down was re-signing Aaron Jones to a 2-year deal. I kind of went back and forth on this one. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. I don't love it from the standpoint that he was more injured this last year than I would like him to be. He wasn't as consistent when he was healthy and going. He was solid, but he wasn't all that it. I would have loved to have seen us maybe bringing in somebody new or drafting a solid rookie. I still think this leaves the door open to be able to go draft somebody and have him kind of compete with Aaron Jones for a top spot. But if nothing else, it gives you some veteran leadership in that running back room. Cornerback Isaiah Rodgers reached a 2-year, $15 million contract with the Minnesota Vikings, which is big. Again, that secondary is something that needs to be beefed up this last year. If there was one thing that we needed to improve on, it was if we weren't getting a pressure on the quarterback, there were just too many holes in our defense. And so having better safeties, having better solid cornerbacks was going to be huge. So being able to get him was awesome. Sam Darnold, not surprised to see he's not coming back. Goes to the Seahawks on a $100 million deal to him. So congrats to him. Congrats to the Colts for getting Sam Bynum or Cam Bynum. Hate to see him go. But we reached a deal to bring in Ryan Kelly from the Colts. Regarded, I don't know a ton about him, but regarded as one of the best centers in the game, which should be huge. And yeah, it's been talked about already, but I just can't say enough about how much I trust Quicey and KOC really beefing up the trenches. I mean, the games really are one of the trenches. You're not getting strip sacks. You're not, your offensive line and defensive line aren't directly winning you games, but they're giving your quarterback time and they're going against other quarterbacks and not giving them much time to do things. So yeah, with that, so like I said, that we're bringing back Byron Murphy, he should be able to be getting better too. We came to agreement with two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen from the Commanders, which is huge. Colts former guard Will Freeze is heading to the Vikings for 5 years on $88 million. Again, don't know much about him, but regarded as one of the better guards in the league. Daniel Jones left to go to Indianapolis. Sad to see that happening, but it's not the end of the world. After that happened, I'm inclined to think that starting week 1, if need be, KOC is not afraid to roll with JJ, and I'm not against that either. I am of the notion that if you're going to lose 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, 11 games, I would much rather do it with a rookie quarterback. Now, this is going to be technically his second year, people say, because he was drafted 2 years ago, but he's still regarded as a rookie since he never played last year. So, you're able to swallow some of these losses better if you're playing with a rookie quarterback. So there's that. And then there were a couple more signings so far. came to an agreement with defensive tackle Jonathan Hargrave from the 49ers, which should be awesome and huge. And then Harrison Smith is staying with the Vikings on a reward contract. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the quarterback position. The Vikings definitely need to get a veteran presence in there. Right now, J.J. McCarthy is the only QB on the roster. Don't freak out. Lots can happen from now until training camp. We can draft guys. You can sign guys, young guys, things like that. But I think it still is important to get, go get, I don't know, a Jameis Winston, a Gardner Minshew, Carson Wentz, or Joe Flacco were some of the names I wrote down. If nothing else, to get some in there, not Aaron Rodgers. It brings a lot of joy to me when I see other guys like Dan Orlovsky, who was the other one I just saw, Foxworth, these guys talking about, if you're the Vikings, say no to Aaron Rodgers, because last year he played like complete ass. So there's no reason to think he's going to turn into the second coming of Jesus like he was 4 or 5 years ago. But on the flip side, if you're Aaron Rodgers' camp, they should be at least trying to get an interview. But again, I have all the faith in the world that KOC and Kwiatkowski will shut that shit down. So yeah, and then the last thing too, another thing that been circulating that I thought I would give my 2 cents on is trading for Sauce Gardner. And this mock trade would send Sauce Gardner and 1 draft pick to us for 2 draft picks, 2 higher draft picks. I think our first this year, our first next year, and Jordan Addison. And, I have to say my first reaction was, oh, why would you do that? Jordan Addison is, a solid number 2 wide receiver. Upon looking into it more, I would do it in a heartbeat, and I'll tell you why. I will do it for 2 reasons. One, essentially, we want to beefen up our secondary. And versus, as great as Jordan Addison is, he's going to be a free agent after next season. And as good as he is, you're not going to be able to resign him because he's going to want to be paid what a wide receiver 1 should be, but he's just never going to be better and surpass. And the Vikings would never give him more money or close money to Justin Jefferson. So that's 1. But 2, Sauce Gardner is actually a free agent after this year, and that is a guy that's worth, a young guy still on his rookie contract, that's worth investing for the long term. So that, and if you look at this last season, I mean, no, there are no Jordan Addison, but we have guys that more like Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor did well, Josh Oliver, Johnny Munn, Brandon Powell. They were solid as receivers, and truthfully, if you want my last and honest opinion on this, truthfully, is that it's easier to find good and solid wide receiver 2s and 3s out there than it is to find a lockdown corner. So if you can send Jordan Addison a pick or 2 to them for Sauce Gardner, I would make that happen like yesterday. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys. Couple more things before we go. So 1, starting next week, we're going to be, I haven't decided where in the podcast, but we're going to be starting a new segment that is called Truthfully. So it's come to my attention that I say that word quite often on this podcast, and a good friend of mine gave me the idea that whenever I use the word truthfully, it's usually followed by bold predictions, hot takes, things like that. So that is exactly what the segment is going to be. So this is something we're going to be doing on a weekly basis, and kind of everything hot take wise, kind of keeping it within that segment. So that'll start next week. And then lastly, March Madness, once again, just want to keep reiterating it to you guys until that we get there. Go sign up. It looks like the amount of people has been getting bigger. So make sure you remember to do that. And lastly, we will be on, Monday? Sam and I will be on Monday the 17th before the next podcast, breaking down our game-by-game predictions for March Madness the day after Selection Sunday. Haven't decided on a time. We'll keep you guys posted. It's more than likely going to be at night, 7 or 8 o'clock, something like that. And then business as usual next week. And keep your eyes peeled on social media, because there may potentially be some news and some things happening in the coming weeks. So yeah, like I said, in wrapping up, podcast on the 19th with Sam with all of our March Madness picks, as well as go make sure you sign up for March Madness in the bracket. Search within the groups the mini weekend should be the one that comes up. And with that, till next time, Minny.